Yeah. Hey, everybody. Hi, Rachel. My computer just went down. I'm glad I got back on in time. Is that you, Ron?
Yes, sir.
You're here to spy on me today?
Always wanting to learn. Never know what nuggets will come out of Zoom.
This is true. Hi, Brian and Vivian.
Hey, good to be here. Thanks.
How you doing?
Good, good. I just got done with a bike ride, so if you need me to,
Nice.
if you need me to be presentable, I'll change. But
You're good. It's Friday. I'll be a little bit more relaxed on everybody today.
I think you should use your DJ skills and play a little music while we're waiting before you start.
You know what? It needs a separate audio plugin for that. I've tried that before. Like just to play music in the background, because when we host the actual team meetings live, right? We always have music before we start, and I was all like, we need to bring that to Zoom. But between like transferring from Canva and sharing screen, and then have like another audio thing to manage, I'm like, it could be done, but it's probably easier with like a separate account, like just the second window open.
That's true. I think there's a way. I'll show you.
There is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Awesome.
morning.
Hi, Brooke. We're just gonna give it a couple more minutes, see who else joins us today. Hi.
Hi. So I'm actually leaving on a trip and I'm in the midst of packing and getting into my car. So I'm not going to have my video on, but I'm going to listen as long as possible.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, just giving
Thanks
you a
for
heads up.
communicating.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Let me get my slides back up. We'll give it 2 more minutes. We'll start at 10:05. See who else is in here. What's up, Mario? Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Good. Just getting the morning started. Running a little behind.
Yeah, no worries. It's Friday. Everybody's getting ready for their weekend. I get it.
Well, what does a weekend mean for a real estate agent, though, right? It just means hustle, hustle, hustle.
It does. Oftentimes it does. But you know what? Today we're going to cover a little bit of what that looks like. It doesn't have to be, right? But you have you get to choose on what you want to make it. The question is, are you making it what it could be or what it should be? I mean, I don't even like using the word should. I don't think like anything should be anything, but I do think that you do have a say in what you want in your life and how to incorporate your business in that, right? And part of today, actually, it's funny because we are talking about the day in the life of a real estate agent. We'll be talking a little bit about the 411 and time blocking, right? So
Yeah.
that'll be cool. It's right in alignment for today.
All right, good. Glad I'm here then.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for the tip, Ron. We'll get started, but I'll be sure to give it a go next time. All right. Does everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Does it say Ignite on there?
Yep.
All right, cool. Awesome. All right, let me just switch my display. Perfect. All right, do you guys, it says screen paused. How about now? Still says Ignite? Cool,
Yep.
perfect. Awesome, awesome. All right, so today we're going to be talking about, oh, and congratulations, by the way, you guys have made it to Spark 9. And it's the day in the life of a real estate agent, right? So before we get all the way into that, I did want to ask who'd like to share what they're grateful for so far in their new learning journey here with, being 9 sessions in Ignite right now. What are you guys grateful for thus far? Anybody getting any results during Ignite that they want to share that, is there an uptick in activity? We're 9 sessions in, right?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm grateful for definitely the knowledge and wisdom we're getting from the coaches such as yourself and Nick and the other coach Susie, right?
Yep, Susie.
Yeah, and so yeah, I really appreciate you guys sharing. And I think the one thing I'm learning for myself is learning how to ask deeper questions and go deeper, because that's something I don't do. I typically go horizontal instead of vertical. Try to go deeper, and try to get understand people, understand where they're coming from, so we can be better salesmen or better real estate agents. So that's something I really appreciate to have. I'm getting. So
Awesome. Cool. Thanks for sharing that. And then what opportunities do you see for yourself and what are you excited about now that that's come up?
I think definitely a lot more confidence in when I'm doing care calls, because I have this goal every time I do a care call. At first I was kind of just calling just to see how things were doing and just letting people know I'm in real estate. But now that we kind of broke it down to why are we doing care calls? It's understanding, one, you want to get updated confirmation. Let them know, of course, you're in real estate, but you want to get their updated confirmation, contact information, and seeing where they're at, set them up with a smart plan, and then get a referral. So those were things that I'm always kind of going in with every person I meet, and even considering businesses that I utilize, whether if it's a barber or going to a coffee shop, trying to see if I could get a referral business started with. So those are things that I feel I'm thinking differently now. I'm seeing my relationships with, whether if it's with business or with just friends, family, I could see them as opportunities to grow my business and to run with it.
Awesome. That's phenomenal. Thank you for sharing that as well. And then are there any challenges you've encountered?
I think, I mean, I still struggle with fear. Fear comes in, creeps in, and then be like, oh man, I should have not said that. I second guess after the conversation. I'm like, oh man, I should have done this way. I should have done it this way. So I think that just ties from fear and maybe some insecurities that come in. But I'm learning how to change my mindset in that, knowing that, hey, it happened the way it is, and this is just learning experience, learning and growing on my end.
Absolutely, and that's the right perspective to have. Oftentimes, we add significance to things based on our own perspective, right? And that's not necessarily the what they're getting on the other end, right? You might look at it like, oh my God, I made a mistake, or why I shouldn't have said that, or why did I say that, and have all these considerations when really that probably did not even exist for them, right? But it exists for you. So, oftentimes, I like the, it's like a quote out there and a saying that they say, it's like, feel the fear and do it anyway, right? And ultimately that's where you're out of your comfort zone. And when you're out of your comfort zone, that leaves you more room to grow. And it's the only place to grow, right? Is going into uncharted territories or leaning into areas that keep making you uncomfortable until they become comfortable, right? And those are the areas you wanna go after. And I share that from personal experience. A couple of years ago, probably would have never been able to get on this Zoom right now and talk to, a bunch of people, believe it or not, because I was very much like that. But then it's just like, okay, that's what I'm comfortable with. Then find something where I have to do it, right? And then the accountability comes with that, because you actually put a stake in the ground and said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then I made an announcement that that's what I'm going to do. And I started that actually with, I think, training on Lines Desk several years back at the office. I had no idea a bunch of people were going to show up, but we had a packed house. And I was like, let's figure out what these drip campaigns are when they first started coming out. And I was like, oh my God, there's like 30 people in here right now. Like, what am I doing? And it was nothing but like, it was just amazing at the end of it, right? Like in the beginning, yeah, I was a little nervous, and I think it showed, and I just worked through it. And one of the things I want to highlight in this particular topic here that I'm sharing with you right now is that our offices are awesome in the sense that people are willing to let you grow here, right? It's a very growth mindset. People create a safe space. And I felt safe enough with the agents where I kept doing that. And then here I am, right? Doing Ignites and all kinds of other things. And I still get uncomfortable, but I've learned to have that in the space and still continue. But it's gotten easier, right? So that being said, keep going after those things, and it's just the way to evolve and develop. So kudos to you on that, Mario. Thank you for sharing everything that you just shared with us.
You got it. Thank you.
All right, so today we're gonna, our topic will provide a realistic view of a successful agent's day. You'll learn that real estate is truly a full-time job that's rewarding in so many ways, right? So a lot of people probably came in like, yeah, I just want to, go out there, sell a couple of houses and have a bunch of free time. And, a lot of that comes into the business. I notice where people think, it's going to be an easy gig, and they realize like, oh, wow, I'm running a business here, and it takes time, effort, and energy. But nonetheless, you can make real estate in so many ways of how you enjoy living your life. I think it's very applicable. I see it so many ways with a lot of agents that do things on a very successful level. I know, and one of my buddies, he's a great agent, closes probably about 38 to, about 35 to 40 transactions a year. All he does is meet up with his friends at restaurants and bars and hang, he's just established the relationships with them, and he just referral after referral. And his job is to connect with 4 or 5 of his buddies a week, whether he's meeting them wherever he's meeting them. Now, it could get costly, but hey, that's part of his lifestyle. That's what he enjoys, and he's made that work for him, and it's become very lucrative, right? So it's not always like, it's this one pegged way that we're used to seeing it. That model is, I think, it's a good structure to have in the beginning. I think you have to have a base of some key metrics, which we'll cover today, but nonetheless, you can shape it to how it makes sense for you, right? Does everybody have their participant guide? It should have been posted in your town centers and all that, but if I could post it in the chat if you guys need it. But if not, I'd like to just move forward. I think everybody knows at this point where to get it from, right? Cool. Okay. All right. Let's get started here. So, move this down here. So, we see this every Ignite, right? What successful agents do every day to grow their business, they lead generate for buyers and sellers, make seller listing presentations, get listings, make buyer presentations, and get buyer listings, and preview real estate, right? Those are the things you do to grow your business. And then to run your business, you're going to market seller listings, show buyer houses, negotiate contracts, transaction management to closing, vendor management. You got to set your goals and visit your goals constantly, daily. We'll cover that. And compliance, right? And risk. Attend trainings, get coaching, and manage your money. So it's not funny how this is on in every class. It's there. It's a daily reminder every time you're in Ignite for a reason, right? These are the things you want to keep top of mind. Let me move on here. But with that being said, the goal of today's goal is to look at more models, right? And we're going to be examining how successful agents structure their day. We'll be using what we've learned and practiced so far about growing and running our business to revisit our 411s and our goals today and develop an accountability system to achieve those goals. So we'll be applying this to your 411. How many of you already have a 411 established? I can't see everybody's hands because a lot of the screens are off. But do you guys know what a 411 is? No? Okay, great. We'll be covering that today. All right, let's move on. So this is obviously our agenda here, which is super cool. I love how we always start with like finding out where we are in our day. And today's overview is pretty much obviously going over, you know, what a day in the life of a realtor agent looks like, what it looks like to grow your business, run your business, set weekly and daily objectives, create accountability, and then go through our recaps and our ahas. So that's pretty much what we're covering today. And we're going to start with a quote, right? People do not decide their futures, but they decide the habits. And their habits decide their future. So reading this quote, I would like someone to share, you know, what does that mean to you when you read that? That your habits decide your future. What does this quote talk to us about cultivating success for ourselves? Who'd like to share? Ron, are you there? I'm gonna call you out, Ron. Ron is our TL here in Cerritos, by the way. I guess he's not. Anybody else want to share? Rachel?
Can you hear me okay?
Hello? You guys back? I feel like I lost you for a minute there. All right, cool. I don't know if anybody caught what I was saying earlier, but what I was asking is how does this
Hey guys.
Eddie,
All right. I don't know what happened. My computer crashed, but in the meantime, I'm just going to continue on my phone. So as my computer's finding its footing again, I don't know what's wrong with it. I have to restart it. The quote says, people do not decide their future. They decide their habits, and their habits decide their future. What does that mean to you? Who would like to share?
For me, it just means that we decide what we want to do in life, or whatever we put our mind to, that we're going to do it. And it kind of sets the tone for where we want, what we want for the future.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else?
Eddie, can you hear me okay?
Slightly. It's a little low, but yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. So for me, habit, it really is kind of a goal, because it takes a series of actions in order to develop that habit. So it's, you know, for me, like making phone calls, I've got to do it every day in order to achieve that habit and develop that mindset to make calls. So to me, that's what a habit is.
Right. I agree. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, I mean, I think the only thing I can explain is that ordinarily humans take a lot longer to develop a routine. You know, all I could say
Yeah.
is whether it's making phone calls, you know, making the phone calls. So instead of, you know, in order to establish your future, you're going to have to do it every day. And once you do it every day, then it trains the mind that that's all you're going to do from 8 to 10 or 10 to 12. So, you know, it's the habits that really develop the future.
Absolutely. Let me mute myself here. Hold on. Sorry. Okay. So you guys can hear me back right on I'm back on my computer. So I agree, right? Like you said a specific word in there, and I believe it was routine, right?
Exactly, a routine.
And I think that, you know, a routine could sound very boring, very mundane, but honestly, a lot of the success is in that routine, right? It's in creating habits within timeframes that make sense, that apply to the key and most important aspects of your business, right? Or your life. It could be applicable to anything. And we're going to talk about what that looks like in terms of like big rocks, right? We call them big rocks. And what we do typically apply like the 80-20 principle to finding out what having like a power routine looks like that allows you to grow your business and grow your goals to where you want to actually achieve them, right? Mm-hmm. So we're definitely going to talk about that. Thank you for sharing. Much appreciated on that. Let me get you guys on my next slide here. Sorry about the, I don't know why this is happening here, but anyway. Share screen. Okay. All right. So now we're going to talk about, you know, a little bit about what it looks like on the court. When I mean on the court, I mean like what does it look like day to day in a schedule for agents, right? And what they do. So at the beginning of the day, you should definitely get motivated by reviewing your goals and your plan for the day, right? Motivating activities vary. You could choose activities that focus you and get you energized to win the day. Things can be like, some people want to get up in the morning and exercise. Some want to, meditate. Some put on a mindset piece, right? So there's various things we could do in the morning to get ourselves motivated in the right mindset. And I think that this is very key, right? To start your day with, really not picking up the phone, to be honest with you, and like jumping on some, social media, which many of us probably do. And we, it's become one of those things, social media and those types of things have played a big role in what we do in our business and so many things. And I do see a lot of people gravitate towards that. But what would it look like if you had to choose, what it looks like that you want to feed your mind every morning? It's almost like having breakfast, right? But what are you feeding your mind? And I think that when you choose to feed your mind the right things before you do anything else in your day, you really start your day off, on a different note. And I think that note is typically a little bit more clear, smooth. I mean, it almost like, I'm not gonna say bulletproofs your day, but in a way it kind of does, right? Depending on what it is that energizes you and how effective that is for you, right? So successful agents make time every day for the activities, right, you've been doing during your daily success habits. Successful agents never stop lead generating and following up through phone calls, social media messages, writing notes, etc. They split their time between growing their business and the activities there and what they do to run the business and activities for that. So timing for these activities depend on your needs and schedule, but it's important that you include both running your business and growing your business activities in your day, right? So to grow your business activities, you include making seller listing presentations, making buyer presentations. We cover that in the beginning, and previewing real estate, right? So a review on running the business activities include, marketing the seller listings, showing buyer houses, negotiating contracts, transaction management, closing, vendor management, setting goals, compliance, risk management, all that good stuff, managing your money and making sure that you're getting the coaching. Now, at the end of the day, agents look ahead and time block for the next day. For your schedule, you can shift based on your client's schedules for listings and showing appointments, the market center training calendar, and other items on your schedule. Remember to put your big rocks in your calendar. We're going to take a look at what that looks like and fill in the other activities. But I did put a little note here, a side note, guys, that I do want to share with you to make it simple. And you guys can write this down or type it if you got a pen and paper or when you're in front of your computers. And what I wanted to share is, and bring some clarity to the real estate agent job description. How many of you guys know what the real estate agent job description is? Or let me ask, who can tell me what the real estate agent job description is? Anybody want to?
To hold your client to the I forget what it's called, but it's like the golden rule, like, Did you hear me?
Yeah, so I heard that it's to hold your clients up, and the golden rule. I don't know if it cut out in between that.
Yeah, like I forget how to say it, but basically it's like to look for your client's best interest. And that what that means is like with the property that they're looking into getting, like searching, like helping them, supporting them, searching, just holding their best interests. Like that's
right.
Like our duty as agents to our clients.
Right. That's definitely part of it. That's definitely part of it. Anything else?
Is that referring to the fiduciary responsibility?
No, I'm just generalizing like what the real estate agent job description is. And I'll give it to you guys because it's here and I want you guys to write this down, okay? But you know, that all that's part of it, right? The fiduciary part, upholding our clients and making sure, you know, we put their best interests first. That's definitely umbrellaed in this process. But the real estate agent job description is number one is to lead generate. Okay. Number two is to lead follow up. Number three is to go on appointments.
Hey, Eddie, I think you froze on the second one. Did you say second is lead follow-up?
I did.
Okay, good.
Number four is to negotiate contracts. And number five is to practice and role play. So why did I put this in? So Ignite's got us on this overview, right? Motivation, building time, daily success habits, lead gen and follow-up, that's there. Take your lunch, run the business activities, marketing listings, negotiate contracts, you know, grow the business activities, preview real estate, right? Let me see here, hold on, got my own. Review your calendar for tomorrow and make a success list, and then family time. So pretty much what I told you guys is really, you know, in all that, right? But I wanted to simplify it for you in those 5 key things, because really that's the job description, right? And if you take those job descriptions, I would consider those as your big rocks in your business. And why that's important is I wanted to just make it a lot more clear than this here, right? There's kind of a lot going on here. And of course, family time is family time. And we'll, when, you know, as we go into 411 and scheduling, we'll cover some of that right now. But, you know, really, those are the key components that you should be doing every day, right? And if you're not, and if you don't have contracts to negotiate or appointments to go on, there's always lead generate, there's always lead follow-up, and there's always practice and role play. And those 3 activities will definitely, if you're consistent over time, you will have the appointments, you will have the contracts to negotiate. So that's just a little sidebar I wanted to add to this for you guys to kind of bring a little bit of clarity to it. Does that help?
Is this what you do? Is this your schedule?
Yes, my schedule is based on the 5 real estate agent job descriptions. The 5 things that I just gave you right now is kind of what I base it off. And I got this from Bold. I don't know how many of you took Bold. I know they've changed it recently, but the original Bold had a sheet where this was it, and it just, for me, it was one of those. It was under time and self-management, and it was one of those things that just brought so much more clarity when I try to complicate my business to come back and just look at this, right? And then just kind of get grounded to like what I should be doing. When I feel like I'm all over the place or I'm lost, I mean, we all are often trying to expand and grow, and sometimes we add these extra things in our business, and then it gets a little blurry out there, and sometimes we just need to revisit, you know, what it is that we should be doing and just get back to the basics, right? So just wanted to share that with you. Let's see here. All right. So some of you have never done a 411 before, and that's okay. That's understandable. You could always go to the onething.com and download them. There's all, they got a newer version, like every year they come out with something a little different. This more or less looks like some of the newer ones. I work on the old school one. I'm going to share with you guys a little bit of what that looks like for me. Let me just pull it up real quick. Let's see here. Sorry, I had this up before my computer crashed, but view, read mode, share. All right, do you guys see that? Yes, you should be able to see it. So this is what my 411 goal sheet looks like. There's also an opportunity for you to see how other agents do it on Keller Williams University. If you go on MyKW and go to education, you can access KWU and actually see how other people do this, or explain it in different ways. But I'm going to give you guys kind of an idea of how the breakdown works. Typically, your 411 is your annual goals, right? So we set those up first. You want to find out certain things, right? How much income you want, right? Those are, why do you want that income is the first thing I'll ask. There's so many people I coach with, they're like, I want to make $250,000. Like, why? Do you even know why you want to make $250,000, right? And I get it, like for a lot of reasons, people want to get ahead in life and make more money and all that stuff. But oftentimes when you can actually dial in really what your monthly commitments are, right? It's a good starting point where you're at. And then putting in some goals to where you want to go, and then finding out that gap, and then actually adding some anchors to those, meaning like, what's something meaningful that will get you to your goals. Oftentimes, the reason why people don't achieve their goals, I'll tell you this right now, is that because it's not inspiring enough. That's just a simple truth behind it. Some people say, oh no, they're thinking too big. Well, there's something that's not inspiring enough about their goals that doesn't get them to act on it. So once we get granular on, where we are on our finances, I like to always start there. Our current commitments and where we want to go, I think, in finding that gap, and then starting there is a great way to actually set your goal, not just kind of coming out with a number in thin air, right? But the premise of starting with your annual goal is you're going to chunk that down and you're going to break it down from annual to monthly to weekly. Now, to give you guys a little tip, your 411 is a weekly goal sheet. It's a weekly live document. Consider, not consider, there is 52 weeks in the year, correct? And you're going to have to consider that if you're going to stay on track, you're going to have to visit your goals daily, if not weekly at the very least. And why we structure these goals annually, monthly, and weekly is because if you go down to the right side here, if my screen wasn't set up like this, it would be just one vertical page. It takes my goals that look massive on the annual level, and it makes them look really, doable, right? On the weekly level, look at my listing appointments. I want to go on 54 listing appointments. That breaks down to 2 listing appointments a week. That's more doable, right? I want to take 1 listing out of those 2. I would love 2, right? But minimum, I want to take 1 listing, and that's a 50% conversion from listing appointments to listings taken. Okay, and then out of that, weekly, I want to close 1, right? So I don't want to skip the monthly here, but I skipped to the weekly because I want you guys to know why it's a weekly live document. Is if I only went on 1 appointment for the week, I have, you know, the premise is to take that or for that day of the week, then I need to make sure that I make that one, that appointment up, right? Sometime in that week or the next week. But I don't want to fall behind, because if I start falling behind on these smaller chunk down goals, then guess what? I'm going to fall behind on the bigger picture, my annual and my monthly. Does that make sense? Are you guys lost here?
No, it makes complete sense.
It does, right? And oftentimes, we make these goals and we look at them that they're so massive, right? Like 54 listing appointments, you know? But when you break it down, it's like, hey, what does that really look like, right? And then if you also look at some of the other items here, like that's under the job description, then there's the lead gen, right? Add 192 contacts to my Met, talk to 4,800 new prospects, social media ads, 12 official ads. You know, breaking that down comes down to adding monthly 16 new contacts to minutes, past call clients 40, talk to 400 new prospects for the month, right? You go down to, I have my PC and my sales business kind of on this, guys, so it's a little bit, yours would look a little bit more clear. I understand mine a little bit more than probably you would. You know, that breaks down to me calling 10 SOY clients, right? Talk to 100 new prospects a week, right? So that averages out to what, 20 a day? That's doable, right? So, and then if we move on, we go to systems and education. This is another key thing here. How are we systematizing our year in terms of what education? Where are we in our business for us to say, okay, you know what? I've done this, you know, solo agent thing for a while. I've done great. I'm closing maybe, you know, 15 to 20 transactions alone, and I think it's time for me to expand. Maybe I take expansion, you know, I take career visioning, right? And how to hire my next admin or my next agent and go from there. So you want to, you know, this is an opportunity to see what Keller Williams offers, or, you know, other programs outside of it as well, and seeing what you want to do for your systems and education. Put that in there as well. Things like Mega Camp and Family Reunion, those, you know, we know Family Reunion is, you know, February of every year, and Mega Camp is August. So we start planning for those things, right? I have MAP sessions. I have MAPS coaching, right? I had 2 MAPS coaches actually most of last year, one for my sales business and one for my productivity coaching business. So to have that set up, right? And then the most important thing is your personal, right? Your travel time, personal goals. I want to get down to 180, right? Buy 1 property, 52 family days, 52 date nights, read 12 books. Okay, if we look at how that looks in the monthly, you know, that's 4 family days. Of course, I want more, but, you know, these are non-negotiables at this point, right? I'm not going to break that. I'm not going to break my 4 date nights. If I do, just like the rest of the document, I'm going to make it up somewhere, right? Read 1 book or go on Audible, get into some kind of self-development seminar. That's for me personally, not necessarily my business, right? Maybe a mindset thing. So when you start your 411, you start with the end in mind and you reverse engineer it. And part of the process also comes with, when it comes to your business, like listing appointments, listings taken, is you could talk to your productivity coach that's in your office and go over some metrics and some conversion ratios to find out why that is, right? It could be based on our price points. It could be based on how many contacts it takes for you to actually get that appointment, all that stuff. That's where these numbers originate from. They don't just kind of come out of thin air. So I do highly recommend to reach out to your productivity coach in your office to establish this if you haven't done so yet. Any questions around this? I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, there's one more thing too. We do have a thing called the 15th of the month protocol. This pretty much pertains if you've gotten to the 15th of the month and you're falling behind on certain goals. You do everything in your power to keep up with your listing appointments and your contacts, right? So you drop whatever extra stuff you got going on and you focus on realigning your goals before the month's over so that you can reestablish yourself and now you're not falling months behind, right? So that's very important to know as well. I learned that very late here, maybe a couple of years after, but I want to bring that to you guys as newer agents, or even if you're not new, I don't know if you knew it or not, but it's available to you now. So just know, like, what are your big rocks, right? Look at your real estate job description and look at your goals. And if you're in the 15th of the month and you know you were supposed to have 5 appointments and you're only at 1, right? Then it's time to get clear, get focused, and make up those appointments. Whether you got to call until you book your next 3 or 4, or you go on your next 3 appointments, or that missing 2 appointments that you need, you do that, right? And then you keep it going. And that's the beauty of it being a live document, is whatever, you know, you missed this week, you got to carry it over to the next, or whatever you missed for that day, you carry it over to the next, right? And you update, you constantly update. Now, if you've gone far into your year and things, you know, are just, you know, not panning out, or some unforeseeables came around, that's okay. You just reorganize, re-strategize where you're at for the year and continue from there. Okay. Any questions around this?
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, because I'm looking at your numbers and all that, and that's like really big. So for what do you recommend, like for, I guess, for newer agents or even seasoned agents, like a realistic goal, or like something like out of the, you know, like just way out there and it's like a wow goal, or like what
Yeah. So
because it needs to be, I don't know, in my mind it seems like it needs to be achievable in order for people to move to use this and then progress like
right.
year after year.
So for everybody, it's different. We all have a financial thermostat. That financial thermostat might cap on how much money we make, and it might also regulate us when we know we need to go out and make money. It makes us move. And that's kind of a personal internal thing, but being aware of it is step 1, right? And I guess to answer your question is, you know, like what's achievable and what's not is really, you know, perception to, you know, whoever's setting the goal. At the end of the day, I like to start everybody off with like really finding off in my coaching sessions. I have a lifestyle income and debt sheet. And the reason why I do that is because I want to know where they're at now financially, because, you know, they're doing, you know, they're in the office, they're live, they got clothes on, they're well, they seem like, you know, agents are here and, you know, they've been fed for the day, right? So there's a foundation there, right? They're getting by, or they're doing fine, or they're comfortable where they're at, and that's okay. They know where their bottom line is, and to get clear on that. And then the next step would be to find out where it is you want to go. Maybe right now you're renting for $2,000 a month, but you know, you want to own a house, you know, in Lakewood, and, you know, it's going to cost you $650,000, and your mortgage on that with a, you know, down payment, it's going to cost you $3,500 a month. So now you want that extra income because now you got this goal that you want to close from moving from $2,000 to $3,500 on a mortgage, along with maybe some other expenses. So like you set your goal, not, you know, relatively not too far from where you're at right now, right? And you incrementally grow and you just keep going after it, but you have to visit it and see it to get there, right? You can start by setting your goals on what does it look like to achieve the income that you're used to obtaining, right? Maybe you had a career prior to coming into real estate where you're making 100,000 a year. So, you know, what does it look like to make 100,000 a year, right? And oftentimes, when in the beginning, the harder thing to gauge for that is that, you know, we don't know, there's no frame of reference yet to know how many contacts it takes for you to get an appointment, how many appointments it takes for you to convert into a contract, and how many contracts you take to convert into a closed piece of business, right? So having a frame of reference and sticking to, you know, your lead gen model, right? Sticking to those key things are important, because the longer you go in doing something, the longer we, you know, the more we can reference some facts, some numbers, some data that tell us where you're at and how long it will take to get there. So in the beginning, you know, you could start somewhere, but I would say stretch your goal a little bit. Stretch it from where you're used to. If you're used to doing 120 a year, make it 140, right? Go with that. Does that help?
Yes.
Because ultimately, we do this to fund the perfect life, right? That's what we want. We want to fund our lives so we can enjoy it. We don't want to just, you know, work for the sake of just working. We go on these appointments to make money at the end of the day, and we want to manage that money. And it's not all about the money, but at the same time, you know, it's a good place to get the right perspective into how to set your goals, because real estate translates pretty well. You know, on a $500,000, you know, purchase price, and we're much higher in our areas here, right? Might get you a $15,000 commission check after your office dues and everything else. You know, it comes down to maybe what, 12, right? So if you closed one a month, you know, you could be at 150 a year, give or take. So that's just a perspective there, right? Does that help? No, sometimes I don't know what goes on the other end of the screen because I'm sharing.
Yes, it helps.
Okay, cool. All right, let's get back to our slides here, and let me see what else it says. This is in your participant guide as well, right? So now that we kind of covered a little bit about this and I shared this with you guys, let me share this screen here. Do you guys see the Pareto's principle, the 80-20%?
Yes.
Okay,
I
great.
see your whole slide again.
Okay, perfect. Let me move this back.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to read this really quick because it's kind of important, and I don't want you guys to miss anything. So I'm going to go off the text here. It says Pareto commit to the 80-20 principle. The 80-20 principle, the Pareto principle, can help prioritize and focus on what's important. Alfredo Pareto, an Italian economist, discovered that 20% of our activities yield 80% of our results. When our actions are not focused on the 20%, matters, we don't get the results we want. The 80-20 principle may be counterintuitive, but it works. The converse of the 80-20 principle is also true. 80% of our effort yields 20% of our results. Stephen Covey analogizes our time to a bucket. We can only fit so much of our bucket, but how we fill our bucket matters. If we start by filling the bucket with sand, we won't have room for the big rocks and the gravel. But if we start with the big rocks first, then we can add the gravel, and the sand will fit into the space that's left over. Sand and gravel are the small things. They're the 80%. that only yield 20% of the results in life. If we start with the big rocks, our 20%, then we will get those things done and still be able to fit in the gravel and the sand. No, in the image of the 80-20 principle, we call the 20% effort our big rocks. So you start by identifying your big rocks by looking at your weekly goals from your 411. Okay. If you guys have your participant guide, it's in page 5. What are the big rocks that make up your 20%? So does anybody have their participant guide with them? Here's what we'll do. Let's just go collectively together. What do you think your big rocks are? We covered the 411. We covered the real estate job description. We covered the grow your business, right? The activities that grow your business. So what do you think those big rocks are?
Lead gen.
Lead gen. Yes, that's a big rock. What's another big rock?
To survive.
To survive. You know, your follow-up is another big rock, right? Your script and role playing is a big rock. Making sure you go on your date nights with your girlfriend or spouse or significant other is a big rock, right? It's applicable to everything. What are the things that matter the most? That if you did that, everything else, you know, that's actually the one thing rule, is what's the one thing that if you did, that everything else would be easier, unnecessary, right? I love that rule. If you guys ever read the One Thing, never read the One Thing book, I highly, highly recommend it. Read it every day because it's one of those timeless books, no matter where you're at, you'll always get something new out of it. It's amazing. But this pretty much just tells us that we can always focus on the minutia and the day-to-day activities that matter the least. But what we're doing is we're giving up on the things that matter the most. That's going to produce the greater results. And identifying your big rocks and just focusing on those, the 80% will find itself and it will resolve what it is that you're looking to resolve. It'll come in. It'll be your result. Versus doing a lot of the things that matter the least, which would be your 80% maybe at the time, and then only getting 20% of the results, right? This is huge for time management. Because if you're doing the 20%, let's just say in lead gen, and you're consistent with that, and your lead follow-up, and then you're negotiating contracts, and you're doing all that stuff, guess what? You're gonna get the opportunity to start maybe hiring an assistant that now buys you more time, right? To continue to focus on just doing the lead gen and removing things like meeting with, you know, going to the showings and the inspections. Now you've got more time to focus on more clients to turn out more of what's most important in your business, and you can start to grow. But if we get caught up in the busy work, right? Like, oh, I need my logo to look like this, or I need that, or, you know, I get there's a lot of important things in our business, right? But, you know, sticking true to what matters the most is going to get you where you need to go in the business much more efficiently and with much greater results. All right, so we got to set our objectives here, right? Translate your weekly goals into objectives. So anybody have any questions about the 80-20 before we move on? No? All right, we'll keep going then. All right, so page 5 of your participant guide, you'll find your set of objectives. When developing your daily objectives, focus on how to measure progress toward the goals you identified. Identify targets that will facilitate your success by using these guiding questions. Identifiable, right? What is your goal? Metric driven. How will you measure your progress towards the attainment of each goal you set. Attainable. Do you have the correct systems and tools in place to set you up for success? Then purposeful. Is this goal in alignment with your weekly, monthly, and annual goals? And timely. When will this goal need to be accomplished? I think, you know, it's funny, timely is at the end. I like to look at that first. I like to make everything time bound. I think it's important to stick the stake in the ground, because something starts to happen when you do that, right? When you leave things open-ended on time, it typically starts to find its way wherever it needs to go, right? It's funny how you never really get to it, right? But then if you set a date and time, you can now start to even reverse engineer that. Like, okay, if I'm going to have, you know, this goal by, you know, December of 2020, then, you know, the 4 weeks in November need to be this, and that, right? You can start breaking those things down. Essentially what your 411 does as well. Okay. Let's move on here. So time blocking, put in your big rocks in your calendar, right? Time blocking is simply dedicating specific periods of time to a specific purpose. It's putting the big rocks in our calendar and making commitment to preserving that time, a commitment to preserving that time. Some key tips to remember when time blocking: block the most important tasks, your big rocks first. Do not try to time block every minute of your day. Be careful not to confuse time blocking with indiscriminately filling your calendar, right, with things that just kind of don't matter as much. Participants, so I want you guys to access your calendars if you guys have them in front of you. Maybe this is your phone, right? Maybe it's your laptop, maybe it's a physical calendar book. But I would like for you guys to take, you know, 10 minutes to start putting some things in your calendar right now. I think this is very important at this point. Your objectives, you know, using your objectives, enter your time blocks into your calendar. Include alarms and reminders that will help you maintain these time blocks. If you're using a calendar app, that's great, because I like to use a reminder app. I have an iPhone. I don't know who else does, but there's a reminder app that you can even set it up by location, right? So when I pull up to the office here in Cerritos, my phone vibrates, right? And it can tell me, like, you know, I need to update mine, but it just tells me to, like, you know, get clear, get right, and be positive. And you walk in and, like, it's just a little reminder that pops up. Also, once you set your time blocks, you might be doing different things in your day, and you might be so into it. It's important to be disciplined that when that reminder comes in, to shift gears. I don't know how many of you guys know Josh Spitzen. He's the OP here at our office in Cerritos. He's the most purposeful guy that I know. In terms of his time block, he has alarms that go off 15 to 20 minutes. Now, he runs a very high energy, high purpose business. The way he operates is always been impressive to watch, but he can shift from one thing to the next. We were talking about it the other day with Scott Cotta. I was talking to him, actually. I was over at La Mirada, and I was like, you know, Scott, it seems like Josh runs his life in 15-minute increments, and we broke it down in an 8-hour day. I think, you know, that's like 32 given different tasks, and that breaks down into, like, if 50% of those tasks were accomplished, right, then you've done more in one day than people do all month, you know. And we were kind of like chuckling at that, you know, you can, you know, it takes discipline to operate that way. It doesn't happen overnight. And maybe that's not something you want to do, and that's fine as well. But to know that, you know, you have the time set and you're purposeful with that time is important, because it gives you the ability to make sure you're not missing the things that are most important. So what I want to do now is I want to stop share on this, and I want to share with you guys my let me see here, my calendar. So let me see here. Share. All right, guys. So this is a time block that I have. I like it color coded. I know it's a little extra, but that's just me. But this is what it looks like. If I have to time block my day, this is what it looks like. Since I've stepped into the PC role and the pandemic, a lot of this is, it's changed. I'll be honest with you. I would like to get back to this. A lot of it's still there. Some of it's constantly shifting. But, I got Sunday for family day. I have Saturday as a flex day. It could be a family day. It might be a day where I got to go do showings, right? Waking up at 5:30, right? Working out at 6, having breakfast, doing affirmations, right? Or a podcast or whatever you need, like in this space right here, just something for the mindset. Commute, while I'm commuting to work, I might put on a podcast, right? To get purposeful. At 8, I want to do, some scripts and role play for 30 minutes. And I want to get ready. 9, I'm doing my lead gen to 11. I'm going on my break, right here to 12. I make sure I get my follow-ups in there. That's important, right? And then the second half of my day, I fill it up with, what I got in my PC business. I make sure I got my database, and I always make sure the last item on my day is I plan tomorrow, right? And on Fridays, I'll plan the next week. So this is, I could share this with you guys if you like it. I think you could even take it and modify it. Most of it's, a lot of it's there, but, I got the script and role play. I have here investments.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you work with buyers?
I do work with some buyers, but not as much. These days here, there is a flaw in this particular calendar that the negotiations and client space, it all says PC, but realistically it's Tuesdays and Thursdays it's PC, and I'm probably working more on my sales business on Mondays and Thursdays and half days on Wednesdays, but most of my days on Tuesdays are PC.
So what happens when you have a client who says, I have Thursday off, I want to see these 5 homes?
And I'm busy.
Well, you have your calendar set.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
So in the beginning, the only time you want to shift your space is for specific things like client appointments. Showings, I will work with that if it makes sense, but I'm not going to give it up. I'm not going to give it up at 9 to 11. I'm not going to do that, right? Like I protect this time because it's lead gen. But if it's like 3 or 4, then I'll do that. If not, I'll talk to an agent in the office, and I would, I don't know, give them some money and tell them, hey, you're a great agent. You mind doing this for a few bucks and just showing these clients for me because it doesn't work my schedule, and maybe that will work for you, right? Like, and then
I guess what I struggle with is like I have a schedule. It's kind of like it looks like yours, where they recommend lead gen in the in the morning when you're fresh and everything like that. But then once you do your 20%, like I believe in that. Like I see that. It's like once I do my 20%, which is where I'm setting appointments, I have clients that want to see property. It's like my 80%, which is what I see. This is like 80% drops. And then there's an appointment. And then because if I focus on the goal of like getting one deal in escrow a week, then it's like that's what's important to me. And then
Mhm.
I guess that's what throws me off schedule.
Mhm. Look, so we're never in balance, right? But we always counterbalance. If it's important enough, right, we'll find a way to make it work. If you need to adjust for the right reason, which I think, showings could be very well that. If it was a listing appointment, I would, that would probably be the one thing that I would take,
Mhm.
because that's business right there, right? But even then, if you had 10 transactions going, right, 10 escrows, you're gonna be forced to kind of set people on your schedule, right? And they're gonna want you to help them, and they're gonna work with you and what you bring to the table, because that's why they're contacting you, right? Like, you're an agent, you're doing your job right, you're busy, but at the same time, you schedule things accordingly, right? So just good communication gets you there, but you got to protect certain times. And the point of the time block is to protect that. See where I have all the PC stuff? If that's the time for you to go on showings, then that's the time you just got to let them know, hey, this is just when I'm available at showings. If it's important for them, then they will find a way to make that work and conform to you and your business. I truly believe that. But often when we don't have the business, at the volume we would like, right, we tend to waver on, some of the things that's most important, because we just, we need the business. In terms of showings, that's fine. You got somebody who's willing, who's able, they're ready to go. If I'm working with a buyer, I've said this before, I've already made sure that my lender has spoken with them. They went through a buyer consultation. They've been vetted. I got a buyer broker agreement, and they know that when we go out, we're going to go out and we're going to find a home, and that is protected, right? But I'm not going to go out and show somebody a buyer a property if I didn't have all those things in place. So in that case, it comes down to your value proposition. If you're doing those things, then yeah, it's not a listing appointment, but it's not far from it, because you've done all your homework and they want to go. And if that's business, then you go out and you do it. So we're all going to waver. Nothing is 100%, right? But knowing that you have a plan to get back on track is key. And knowing how to, weigh your pros and cons is another, right? But you set the standards, and your clients will follow suit. But if you let your clients take you for a ride, they'll continue to take you for a ride, right? And I only bring that up in terms of my buyer consult and that process is because buyers will go out and you put a lot of time in them and you just don't know, right? So you always want to protect key things like your lead gen, your role play. And oftentimes why we do those things early on in the day is because truly the world doesn't really wake up till 10 or 11, right? I mean, it does, but that's when you start putting out the fires. That's when things start coming up. That's when, the cutoff times for escrow and lending and the payouts from, all that other stuff come up, right? So when you can get the key things knocked out earlier in your day, you'll have the flexibility later on to make those adjustments. But where I have PC, which could be confusing some of you guys right now, could very well be negotiate contracts or meet with clients, So if from 1 to 4, you have those time blocks available, then that's just what you do. Client wants to go to a show, great, I'm available on Thursday from 1 to 4. So I know that was a little winded. I'm just trying to keep things real as possible and not give you some textbook answer to that, because I know it's going to happen, right? But do you have a plan to get back on track? And then once you get busy enough, you will learn to be even more regimented to where where it would even happen less. You will get more comfortable to letting your clients know when you're available. And if you're not, then there's other ways, like hiring another agent to go out and show them as a showing agent. Cool. Database. to me, that means to add at least, I want to add some people in here. You don't want to go on in your day without feeding your database. That's the monster that's going to get you that referral business over time, right? If you keep feeding it, it's going to produce some extraordinary results when you're in, later in the later years of your career. So you want to make sure you're taking care of that today, so it produces those results for you tomorrow. Consolidate when you can. Database follow-up planning tomorrow can be done at the open house, because I was doing open houses. Make sure I put your last task for each week. Okay, no appointments. I kind of noted this. Use the time for more lead gen, or hit your 30 contacts, add 2 people in your database, or just go home if you hit everything you need. So the beauty of this too is when you're on your 411 and you kind of hit all your tasks for the day, go home. You don't gotta, you did what you wanted to do. You could fill this time up, or you could go home. I can move my database to 1 and my plan for tomorrow to 1:15 or 1:30, and I'm done. I'm out for the day. I made sure I took care of these guys here, right? So this is due consistently in yellow, because the whole premise of the time block is that these things get done consistently, but these are like little tasks that can slip away from you, that it's like a little reminder for me, right? Mindset and growth earlier in the day before I even get into the office and get my breaks. So does this help you guys any?
Yes, it's very organized.
Do you see my big rocks that are in here, and that if I just stuck with the schedule, like things will work out? Oh, and then Fridays are my investments, because I have investment properties, and I use Fridays to work on my business, not in my business. So I might take time here to reflect on, reviewing the week, how did it go, and then looking at other things like my investment properties, and, seeing what the management company needs, and, check up on the emails. The emails will take up so much of your time. I try to keep, those things out of the way until later on in the day. And if I can, for certain things later on in the week, to just address everything at once. So Monday comes, they have a direction. So, yep. All right, we're doing good on time. We're 11:20 right now. Let me go back and share my screen here. Do you guys want to take 10 minutes to put some of this stuff in, or do you guys want me to share this file with you? Will that help?
Yeah, that'd be great. You can share it.
Yeah, okay. I'll be sure to do that before we end. Create accountability. Let's finish this off here. So now that we talked about your 411, we talked about the time blocking, we talked about the 80-20 principle, which the 20% essentially equates to your big rocks, and then putting that into a calendar, and then reverse engineering your goals. You want to be held accountable to that, right? So to be accountable, accountability is an attitude and an approach. Accountability is a tool for changing and achieving results. Accountability is a dynamic cycle, not a static concept. Accountability is a crucial part to achieving your goals. When we report to someone, when we report to someone else, what we've often done is to make a progress on our goals, right? We've done that to create a progress, to have progress, to gain more focus and motivation. Think about accountability as a process. It is difficult to maintain drive over the long term, but when you have to defend your activities, right, to an objective observer, it becomes easier to stay focused, right? So how do you do that? Accountability, and then let me finish it off with this. Accountability is about getting and using feedback. You must take time on your regular planned basis to meet with whoever is holding you accountable, look at your numbers, and refocus your efforts. So who can tell me one way of, getting some accountability?
Having a coach.
Boom. I said earlier I had 2 MAPS coaches. Yeah, it was expensive and it was worth every penny. They were worth the wait. I've seen growth in both areas of my business from having both coaches. And I'll tell you, they're tough conversations when you have that week and, you kind of slipped up on some of your commitments. And to go there and to have that conversation with them, not because they're not telling you anything you didn't want for yourself. That's the beauty of it, right? But they will hold you into account that that's what you said you wanted. And to go in and look at the breakdown of the numbers, right? Did I go on my listing appointments? Did I make my contacts, right? Did I book enough listings? All that stuff. Those things are all key things. And when you see them every week, you're going to have a good feel of where you're at in your business and where you need to be. So good accountability is key, especially when you pay for it. I mean, that's the results I got. I've had a lot of accountability partners. How can I say it? Where we're just like, all right, let's hold each other accountable. And sometimes you've got people that just naturally are that, and that's great if you have that. But oftentimes those things can just kind of fizzle out and just, end up getting nowhere, right? Or it might work for a month or so. But when you pay for it, at least for me, I'm just like, well, I'm gonna get my money's worth out of this. So I show up and I go through the conversations, and it's a way of doing it. Another thing is to completely put yourself out there, right? Which goes on to our next slide here. It's like, share your goals, create a plan for accountability, right? Share your goals. When I had that example earlier for you guys about when I did that line test training, finding out what an 8x8 campaign is and a 33 touch, and we're going to implement it, and all these people showed up. I didn't know how many people were going to show up, but what I did is I wanted to get comfortable with speaking in front of people. So I put myself in a position. I made myself accountable by verbally expressing to the entire office that I was doing this training, right? And that was like, okay, there's no backing out now, right? Like you burn the ships, for lack of better terms. I know that's another saying people use, like burn the ships, and you'll get to work. And like oftentimes in this case, like it's just, social media is another one, put a training out, say that you're going to hold a buyer seminar, share your goals with other people in the office, other agents, and where you're at. I'm going to go on, 4 listing appointments this week. Just put it out there. There'll be something happens when you do. Doesn't have to be that what's the word I'm looking for? Doesn't have to be out there like that, but it's a way of doing it. It moves me. I find myself moving when I put myself out there to other people. I hold myself to very high accountability when I do that. When I keep to myself, I'll probably, let myself slide on some things. So I've learned that it's self-awareness, and I know it might sound like it really sucks, and it kind of does sometimes, but it works, right? It gets me going. Plan your check-ins. Maybe one of your big rocks can be, you're meeting with your accountability partner for 15 minutes or 10 minutes at the end of your day, right? Plan your check-ins. Set up an ideal platform to communicate, whether it's Zoom or whether you're sending a text. For my team, I have my CTE numbers for accountability. They get automatically text messaged at 7 p.m. for them to fill out, how many contacts, how many appointments. That kind of keeps things on track. We use automation for that, right? Make a date, right? That's the key. I said that earlier. Making the date is key. You want to put a stake in the ground. You want to know when this day is gonna, when that's gonna take place. Once you have enough things in your time block, the best thing is you don't have to think about it anymore. Right? Just think about that. You don't have to think about what you need to do in your day for the most part. You're going to have things come in, yes, but you know what your hours look like, especially those early hours. And nothing feels better than 12 o'clock coming and knowing that you did the most important things in your day and you're done. You've hit key things such as your lead gen for your business, your follow-up for your business. You hit some mindset stuff, just personally for you, right? Maybe you put in some family time before you come into work, all that stuff. When you put all that stuff in there and you've accomplished 5 of the key most important things in your daily life are done by 12, you have a spectacular rest of the day. It's amazing, right? And I think that's key. I think if you practice that and give it a shot, you'll see how that can become a habit, because once you start getting the results and those, and you start to feel better about how your day goes, you start just sticking to it. It gets easier and easier, and you look forward to it. You look forward to the routine. That's pretty much it for today. I think page 7 in your participant guide, you could fill out the information for your productivity plan, fill out, meet with a person. So this pretty much says, if you guys want, we have different people every week that show up on Ignite, and not everybody's, we have some of you that are consistent, and we appreciate that. But if you got somebody, an accountability partner, let me unshare this. If you have an accountability partner, put them in your calendar, set up a schedule around that, right? Make it get more purposeful with the process. It'll add an extra step of accountability. It'll get you where you want to go, right? And that's it. After this, I think our next slide, it was actually the ahas. So anybody like to share some ahas?
I guess for me, my calendar. For sure, I've been trying to work on my calendar. Doing Ignite has been showing me more ways to do that, and how you broke it down today, it was helpful for me. So like, just as long as I get those lead gen in there, for sure, what I need to do, my 20%, big part. So me just getting my 20% in will be a great thing for me.
Awesome. That's huge. If you just implement that, it's a game changer. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
Anybody else?
same thing for me. I like how you showed because for me, I was going to start like breaking things down by the minute. But I think putting in your big rocks first, and then letting everything else kind of trickle in around it, making sure those are solidified and firm, and then everything else can work around it. So I think that would definitely put more ease to my schedule, because sometimes I feel like every day I'm like, oh man, what do I need to do? I need to make sure I do lead gen. I need to do this, and that. And so, which I have incorporated lead gen in, but I just feel like I haven't added the other big rocks. And so I think that's what's really important. So I'll start doing that.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. I'll tell you guys this. You will feel fulfilled in your day. Sometimes we don't get the results we want, right? And that's okay. We don't need to focus on the results. The results will come, but what we need to do is focus on the process. If we focus on the process, the results will come. And if you're consistent with the process, you will go home feeling fulfilled. Maybe you didn't have a listing appointment today, right? Or maybe that week it didn't work out. It's okay, right? You did everything you scheduled out to do, and you executed the process and the plan. And that in itself is a victory. So, take that on. right? Take that on, take on the consistency of just following it. And trust me, the results will come through. And this business, you know, sometimes it can happen fast and sometimes it can take a while, but it's okay, right? That's why you fall in love with the process, not the results. Another key thing that might excite you guys about initiating this, and I'm glad I thought about it here at the end, is most successful people that actually, when they start their plan and they plan their year, when like you're doing your 411, they start by planning their vacations first because they know they're going to need the time off. And how would it feel like, you know, what does it look like, you know, 4 months from now when you have, you know, hopefully things open up. I don't know, like, but I'm just going to throw this out. Like, you have a trip planned to Spain or Paris or South America or somewhere that you want to go, right? And you know you're going to take 2 weeks off to go on that. And you have that plugged in. And then 8 months from, another 4 months from there, 8 months from now, you have another trip planned. Just think about that. And that's the first thing that goes on your annual calendar and in your 411, right? It would most likely go on your annual calendar. They don't show an annual calendar here, but there is an annual one where you put kind of like the key things that are going to happen at certain months. Like we know, family reunions February, Mega Camp is in August. We would, you sit and put just like 2-3 bullets, maybe 4 bullets per month of specific things that are going to take place during that time. I think that starting with your vacation first really sets the tone for you because it's something you're excited about. And then you follow that up by your process. Your process is going to look a lot more exciting to do. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for sharing that. What other ahas? Okay, let me go ahead and share my time block with you guys. Let me see. Here's the chat, file, computer. Nope, that's not it. All right, do you guys see it on the in the Zoom chat?
No.
Let me send it again. Still nothing, huh? And maybe it's an Excel file. That's probably why. Let me send again. Or let me close it. Sometimes if a file is open, it does certain things. There it goes. How about now?
Yep.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you.
All right, I'll give that a couple of seconds for you guys to download. But outside of that, you could go to the onething.com, the number 1 and then thing.com, and you could download 411s. You could download 66-day habit trackers. There's all kinds of productivity tools in there. I highly recommend going in there and getting that. Your GPSs, your 135s, those are other things you can be doing. That's all available on the onething.com as well. So, and they're all in like Word or Excel format as well. So you could type them out, right? But your productivity coach in your office can provide those for you as well if needed. Cool. All right, I think that's a wrap. Unless anybody has anything else. Good?
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Ellie.
Bye.
I hope this was great for you guys today, and happy Friday. Be safe out there. And enjoy your weekend.
Enjoy your weekend. Thank you.
Bye.